Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 24th of June, 2025, Taco Tuesday, and these are the WTF reports, and as always, I'm holding the media's feet to the fire because of their propaganda, their manipulation, and guess what, guys? You won't be trusted anymore. Yeah, that's right. They are not trusted anymore. And it's going across the board. Many more people are realizing that the networks have been lying to them and giving them misinformation. And, you know, I've said it so many times, if you base your opinion on misinformation, disinformation, and lies, and that means that your opinion is an extension of those lies. Anyway, this broadcast, or whatever it is, podcast, broadcast, these words are being brought to you by, in part, The Wave Watch. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com. Check out The Wave Watch, and there's a big discount coming down the road for you. Use the promo code REDPILL100, and you'll get a massive discount on a Wave Watch. And if you don't know about the Wave Watch, check it out. Check it out. Okay, as we get rolling, I do have a guest scheduled for today, and I'll have her join me shortly. But a quick update on yesterday's broadcast. Oh, my gosh, so much information came out. As we speak, the Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran has gone into hiding. Yeah, and a lot of his military advisors are defecting. They're jumping ship. Some of them have gone into hiding. And, meanwhile, the Iranian people are fist pumping. They're saying, oh, thank you, Donald Trump, for taking out this nuclear facility and allowing us to have our own regime change. Now, of course, the CIA and the Mossad have always had their fingers involved in so many regime changes in so many countries over so many years, but this time it's a little different. The Iranian people have been living under Sharia law, and I saw videos of women that were tearing off their hijabs and cheering. And they're saying, thank God this is all over with. So we're going to have to see. Peace is breaking out. Well, we'll see how that's going to go. Also, I heard, it was reported, I can't confirm this, but several people have posted on social media that over the past 24 hours, there have been stealth ICE raids going on around the country in major cities like Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, and they're taking out some of the sleeper cells that we were talking about. So there's all kinds of stuff going on across the country right now. Of course, Trump now is on his way to NATO, and he's not a real happy camper right now. Boy, he had a few choice words for the media, especially for CNN, and yes, well-deserved slap in the face for their, basically, you know, like I've been saying in the beginning of every broadcast, you know, they massage, they manipulate, they propagandize, and they flat out lie. And yours truly has been screaming about this for several decades now, and that's my main focus here. All we want is the truth. That's what we said so many times. That's all we want is the truth, you know? How can you make an informed decision without information? And if that information is horse hockey, well then, good luck. Anyway, starting off today, like I said, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. The puzzle pieces are numerous, and at times they're difficult to put together. And as I said on yesterday's broadcast, you know, we all have the right to be wrong. We all have the right to change our minds once we're given more information or different information that challenges the information that gave us the belief in the first place. So it's time for all of us to swallow our pride, shun our ego, and realize that, hey, we've been manipulated. And it's okay to change your mind. It's a growth opportunity. So don't fall into that pit. You know, was it Mark Twain said it's always easier to fool people than it is to convince them that they've been fooled. But once they're convinced, it's okay to change course. It's a good thing, you know. Anyway, okay, let's see here. I'm going to accept this. I believe that's my guest joining me here. Let's see. Okay, we'll get right down to it. And Blake Tracy, I met this woman, a couple of decades ago when I was doing the Power Hour radio broadcast with Joyce Riley on the GCN network. And Ann has been right as rain so many times. Ann Blake Tracy, thank you for joining me. It's good to hear your voice again. Are you there?
Thank you, Dave.
There you go. Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to let everybody know that we're on the air. So.
Yeah. Okay. Can you get a little closer to your microphone because your volume's real low.
Is it?
Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yes, there we go. That sounds great. Okay, I want to start today's broadcast off and basically lay the groundwork because there are many different doctors that are saying the same thing now that you were saying 20 years ago. And one of which is Dr. Brian Ardis. Is it Brian or Kevin? Brian. Can't
Brian.
Remember. Yeah, Brian Ardis. Okay, but he had this to say, and I want to share this right off the bat. Here's Brian Ardis.
52 years of documented school shootings in America, conducted by teenagers. Do you know 100% of them were on either an antidepressant or on a barbiturate drug for anxiety? And every one of these antidepressants, including Prozac, Zoloft, Xanax, you name them, all these anti-anxiety drugs and antidepressants, do you know every single one of them are published to increase the risk of suicide behavior and actions, and I quote, lead to violent and homicidal actions. 100% of all school shooters, for the documented 52 years of history, we've been tracking them and studying them, 100% of all the shooters were on drugs that are published and prescribed by your medical doctor, brought to you by CVS and Walgreens and others.
Okay, could you hear that?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I got to tell you, you were the first one that I'm aware of that was screaming this from the rooftops. And here it is 20 odd years later, and now everybody else is jumping on board. Right off the bat, though.
Well, I wish they'd hurry up because it's not slowing down any at all.
No, and when I was talking with you earlier, you've been keeping count on how many of these school shootings and mass shootings just this year alone. What's the count so far?
I don't even know. I can't keep up. There's too many mass killings.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I'm hearing about it.
I'm still finishing up work on the one in Austria that happened just 2 weeks ago. Today.
Yep. And there was another one, there was one at a church. They've been showing video clips of the people running from the church a couple days ago. And it's across the board. I mean, when did you start paying attention? A lot of folks think of Columbine. Of course, that was 25 years ago.
I was an expert in that case.
Tell us a little bit more about that. And again, that was in, what was it, in 95?
1999.
99, okay.
99.
Yeah, 26 years ago. Okay, so what got you started with that? What was it that piqued your curiosity and said, hey, I got to take a look at this and see if there's a connection between the SSRIs and this violence?
Oh, I'd already worked in cases like it for several years.
Mm-hmm.
I had 1, 2, 3, 4, probably half a dozen before Columbine that I worked on directly.
Oh, really? Okay. And
yeah.
And
that's why I had a case in Oklahoma just the day or two before it broke.
Okay.
I told them that they even asked me, the attorney for the other people, this was just in a divorce case. But the attorney said, oh, I suppose you think what has happened at Columbine was caused by these drugs. And I said, I sure do.
I don't know.
He said, oh, well. And days later, it broke that yeast. It was on the box.
I tell you what, Ann, we were having a little difficulty with the phone line. You're sort of dropping out and popping that back in, maybe a little too close to the microphone this time. So I don't,
really?
Yeah, maybe just back it off a little bit. No, that's okay. That's okay. It's technical issues, So I know that there are
plenty of those.
Yeah, I know that there have been hundreds and hundreds of these shootings all over the country. And as Dr. Ardis just said, now he said that was 100%. However, there's another doctor. Let me see. Is it Dr. Miller? Yeah, I think it was Dr. Miller. There's this. Let me get this clip queued up here. There's a Dr. Miller that said basically his count was about 90%. But here's Dr. Miller's count on this.
Why would a psychiatrist give a veteran that's suicidal medications that are known to increase suicide by 300%? Why would they do that?
Okay, that's the wrong clip. Here it is. No, it was Shane Ellison. That was the one. We'll play that other clip later because, as you're well aware, back in the 90s, Joyce and I were fighting furiously to help the Gulf War veterans and all the other vets from foreign wars, whether it be Vietnam or Korea or what have you. But there's a guy by the name of Shane Ellison. He was working for Big Pharma. Here's what he had to say.
When I worked for the drug industry, science was completely abandoned. These drug companies that I was interviewing with had no problem telling me, look, we design drugs based on treating symptoms. We don't cure. That's a business model, okay, that allows you to give a drug to a person for life. The next level of drug advertising is inventing disease. When you run out of symptoms, you don't have any more clientele. With psychiatric medications, you can invent diseases all day long. There's 2 words that a psychiatrist fears. Prove it. And if the doctor can't do it 9 times out of 10, they can't, then don't take the drug. I wondered, as a chemist, I'm making these drugs, they're proving deadly in our labs, and they're proving deadly in other labs, dangerous, ineffective. How are they selling them? Big Pharma has the best marketing department in the world. Geniuses. You simply pay to report that the study showed positive results. You're paying them. You're buying science. At least 125,000 people dying every year from prescription drugs. You would think that you'd spend more in research to try to offset the death toll. No. Keep going with marketing. Market, market, market. Hypnotize them and drug them. And get them into their psychiatrist so they can swallow the next Cymbalta or the next Prozac. Or whatever they're going to package it as and name it as.
I'm sure you've heard that story before. So let me ask you, in your estimation...
You probably ought to send me those links and I'll follow up and give them some real information.
Okay. Yeah, I can. I'll get your email address. I can send you these audio clips and you can listen and do your own research. So that's one of the reasons, on this broadcast, I bring the audio receipts. I'm WTF with the facts.
Good idea.
Yeah. So
Pharma's trying to erase as many of them as can.
Yeah. Well, in your estimation, how many school shootings have we had since Columbine back in '99?
I haven't stopped counting.
You had to stop counting? I mean, I'm sure there's over.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So are the suicides. So are the murders. Families being wiped out.
Oh yeah. Well,
Look at the guy that just killed his little girls at Panacea, Washington, of all places.
Oh, that's right.
That's where we had the BBC come out in '94, and I told them, get your kids off these drugs, or you're going to have false accusations of sexual abuse all over town. And within, I think I told them 6 months, and it was even sooner than that.
Wow. That
they had at least 143 people. The sheriff's foster daughter accused of sexually abusing her.
Yeah.
They ended up paying out. Washington State had to pay out over $100 million for wrongfully imprisoning people for 2 years. Because it never happened.
Unbelievable.
It was a delusion that the little girl had. She was only 11.
Wow. Well, there's
crazy.
There's a Professor David Healy. I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but he's reported he's estimating that 90% of the school shootings for over a decade were linked to the SSRI antidepressants. And I quote, he says, "We've got good evidence that the drugs can make people violent, and you'd have to reason from that there may be more episodes of violence. Further, what is very, very clear is that people do become hostile on the drugs." And again, there are many, many doctors now that are coming forward and realizing this. I remember Phil Hartman. He did a lot of the voiceovers for The Simpsons, and he was also one of the players on Saturday Night Live. And I believe it was his wife who was on Prozac. And didn't she?
Zoloft.
Yeah, Zoloft, was it? I don't know.
I was the expert in the case.
I'm sorry, you what?
I called the family the day after that happened and said, don't stop until you find an SSRI antidepressant.
Mm-hmm.
Because it will be in the case.
Yeah.
Because I had been in Wyoming the day before a case brought in. I was brought in a case of a woman who shot her husband while he was asleep. She said, I woke up from a gunshot and there was a smoking in my hand, and my husband was laying in bed with a bullet hole through his head. So I assumed I must have done it. So I walked over to the sheriff's office and turned myself in.
Yeah.
It was identical, and I wake up the next morning, and there's the Hartman case all over. Now I'm working with their daughter, who's been through her own Prozac hell.
Wow. And
after losing both of her parents when she was only 6.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've heard that these people, when they go into these episodes, it's almost like they're in a dream state, and they don't realize that
they are in a dream state.
Yeah, and they don't realize it, and when they come out of
it, called REM sleep behavior disorder.
Oh, is that right?
And after I talked to those experts looking into that, and I talked to them back in '92, but then they did a piece for the New York Times and said that their research that they did on their own afterwards, and I didn't find it out until then.
I tell you what,
they found that 86%.
I hate to interrupt you, but I hate to interrupt, Ann. But your phone, the phone line is dropping out, and so you're sort of making noises. So I tell you what, if you'll hang up and call back in the meantime,
I'll do that.
Yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to play a song. By the way, folks, way back when I talked to Ann Blake Tracy when I was on the Power Hour, she inspired me to write a song about the SSRI drugs and the school shootings. So while we're reconnecting with Ann Blake Tracy, I'm going to go ahead and let you listen to the lyrics of this song. And again, this is 20-odd years ago. It's called Let's Drug 'Em Down.
Well, Sam's a little hyper. He wiggles in his seat. He doesn't tuck his shirt in. He isn't very neat. He speaks out in the classroom. He runs from here to there. When it's brought to his attention, it's like he doesn't care. So what could be the problem? Why can't he get it right? The teacher's at her wit's end. No solution is in sight. For breakfast he has Pop-Tarts and a bowl of Cap'n Crunch. He drinks a glass of chocolate milk. He has ice cream bars for lunch. At home he watches TV, Nintendo games galore. And he never puts his stuff away, and he never shuts the door. His mother got a phone call from the counselor at school. Said, we've got a pharmaceutical, it's a new effective tool. Let's drug him down. Let's drug him down. Yeah, we can turn him around. Let's drug him down. Give him Zoloft, give him Bus Bar, Ativan, and Prozac too, or any other drug that'll do the things they do. At first it seemed to work because the symptoms went away, but soon he seemed depressed and he'd argue every day. His mom became concerned and she took him off that med, and then something went awry and something snapped inside his head. He started getting violent. Every day there'd be a fight. Then his mother finally realized that something wasn't right. Then Sammy got a raincoat and some dark sunglasses too. He didn't tell his parents, where he went or what he'd do. The other kids at school were afraid when he's around. Then one day police were called because some stuff was going down. Sammy thought he had to injure, Sammy thought he had to kill, but they never told you on the news he was on some pharma pill. They drugged him down. Yeah, they drugged him down. They tried to turn him around. Yeah, they drugged him down. Gave him Zoloft, gave him Bus Bar, Ativan, and Prozac too, or any other drug that'll do the things they do. Yeah! Programs were started to keep drugs out of the school, but the pharma manufacturers are exempt from many rules. They're rigging in the dollars, making billions every year. They only want your money, they don't care about your tears. Almost every single killing that you're hearing on the news has a psycho-drug connection, but they're keeping that from you. Let's bring them down. Yeah, let's bring them down. We'll sue them right in the ground. Yeah, let's bring them down. Hey, Eli, Lilly, GD, Cyril, Bristol Myers, and Bayer too. GlaxoSmithKline, Squibb, and Pfizer, sucking money out of you. Let's bring them down. Yeah, let's bring them down. Let's sue them right in the ground. Yeah, let's bring them down. They're just a bunch of leeches sucking money out of you. Let's bring them down. Let's bring them
down. Crazy notes in that guitar solo because I wanted it to sound distorted, and I don't mean sound distorted. I mean the notes, the craziness behind it. So anyway, we're talking today with Ann Blake Tracy. Ann, let's see here. Is the phone line sounding any better? Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Am I still all...
No, you sound great now. Yeah, you sound great. I don't know what it was. We had a bad connection there. Yeah, so you inspired me to write that song all those years ago. And I got to right off the bat, I want to give people your website. It's drugawareness.org. drugawareness.org. And there's also another website if you want to find out some of the horrific experiences people have had. There's another website, SSRIstories.net. SSRIstories.net. Okay, now...
And that's a database of news articles documenting who was on what when they did these horrible things.
Now, if you could rattle off, now we've all heard of Prozac and we've heard of Zoloft and Bus Bar. What are some of the other SSRIs that have popped up in the past several years that maybe some folks may not be?
Who can keep up with as many as there have been? Hold on 1 second, Dave.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but whenever you're watching television, of course, most of the advertising comes from Big Pharma. And there's so many drugs out there, whether it be Ozempic or I can't even think of some of the names of these drugs. But if you listen to the disclaimer, they say, certain problems could occur, blah, 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 blah. Thoughts of suicide, thoughts of death. Wait a second. How could anybody in their right mind want to get on some sort of a drug that's going to have a side effect of suicide or death? It's just unbelievable. And people, go run to the doctor, ask your doctor whether or not this is going to help you or not. Why would I even go there? Anyway, so if you could, Ann, are you there?
I am.
Okay, so
I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. We all have issues here, So if you could, if you could rattle off some more of these SSRIs that the listeners may not be aware of.
Okay, yeah, there's plenty. Prozac, Zoloft. These are all the same kind of drug.
Mm-hmm.
They just changed the names and put out their own version. So Prozac, Zoloft, Paxil, Luvox.
Bus
Alexa.
Bus Bar.
Lexapro. Yeah, you're thinking Boost Bar, but there's also Effexor. Boy, I've got a story on Effexor.
Okay.
And then they've got ketamine is, what do they call it? Spravato. That's what killed Matthew Perry.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, they're going after the person he was getting the drug from. It's about time.
Wow. Well, you know,
but they're absolutely everywhere, and there's just whole new ones coming out every time you turn around. Prestige. I can't even keep up with them. There's so many.
Yeah, well, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene posted on X a video clip of, oh gosh, who was the press secretary under Biden? What's her name? I'm having
Pam Bondi?
No, not Pam Bondi.
The press secretary.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm just having.
Maybe it's Levitt.
No. I'm talking under Biden, the black woman.
Under Biden.
Yeah. What's her name?
That one.
Oh yeah, Jean Pierre.
Airhead.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing is that whenever these school shootings come up, they never address the issue about the SSRI drugs, which is creating the problem.
Never.
No. They want to capitalize and say it's about gun control. Here she is.
In his State of the Union, the president called on Congress to do something to stop the epidemic of gun violence, tearing families apart, tearing communities apart. How many more children have to be murdered before Republicans in Congress will step up and act to pass the assault weapons ban?
See, that's just
in his State of the Union.
That's what they want. They always say it's about the guns. It's the guns, gun control. But they don't. Guns are just a tool.
Jump up and go running down to the school and start shooting.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just craziness. All right. Good.
Well, and people can go to our website and pull up Why I Took a Gun to School. He's the only school shooter that survived to be able to speak out. And he talks about what happened. And they took him up to his highest dose on Effexor. And he didn't feel good, so he told his parents he was going to go back to bed. And when he got up, he'd go into school. Well, he got up. The problem was he didn't wake up before he got up. He got up, grabbed a gun as he walked out the door, the gun that he usually went hunting with. It was his grandfather's gun. Because he was a farm kid up in Washington. And they had to tell him what he did because he still to this day doesn't remember what he did.
Oh, that's horrible.
And he held his classmates at gunpoint for half an hour.
Wow.
They even said to him, one girl said, "Corey, what are you going to do with that gun?" And he looked down at it like, oh my gosh, there's a gun in my hand.
Wow.
Luckily, his school teacher was also, I think, his Sunday school teacher on Sunday. So he knew him well enough that he was able to talk him down and get the gun from him.
Wow.
But he doesn't remember any of it because you're asleep when this happens.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And that's why I said a couple of minutes ago, it's like they feel like they're in a dream or some sort of a nightmare, and it isn't real.
Right.
But it is real.
You're acting out the nightmare that you're having.
And that's what's so terrifying about this. And so I'd like to put a plea out for the listeners. If you know anyone who is on one of these SSRI drugs, to somehow help them to get off. And now the danger, from what I've heard, is that if you just cold turkey stop taking it, that's where the danger comes in. Isn't that correct?
Well, that's a really bad, yeah. You don't want to go cold turkey off of these because it will throw you into that REM sleep disorder.
Wow. So how,
And
if somebody's on
with
Prozac?
86% of them,
Yeah.
wow, that's a whole lot of people going off the deep end.
Well, yeah, we'll say if somebody is on Paxil or Zoloft or Prozac or one of those, well, how do people get off of it safely?
Take half the amount of time you have taken one of these drugs and plan on taking that long to wean off, shaving just tiny bits off of the pill each day.
So
Tiny amounts.
Okay, so typically, if somebody's been prescribed something like Prozac, what would they be taking it once a day, twice a day, 4 times a day, BID, TID? What would it be?
Depends on their drug-pushing doctor.
Yeah.
But generally, it's only once a day.
Okay, if it's once a day. So you're saying that they would want to shave a little bit off and take a little bit less each day. Over what period of time do you figure it would be before they could be totally free of that cancerous drug? Or
if they'd been on it for a year,
Uh-huh.
they would need to take about 6 months to wean down off.
Wow, that's
If they've been on it for 5, 6, 7, you take half the amount of time you were on it to come off.
oh my gosh.
And not just that one, if they've switched you from one to another. Oh, it's awful. You can go into any of our Facebook pages that they start with the name of the drug and then it follows with should be illegal.
Unbelievable.
So Prozac should be illegal. Zoloft should be illegal. Effexor should definitely be illegal, and they almost pulled that when we testified to them in 2004.
Well, let me ask you:
They should have done it.
Have there been any successful lawsuits? I mean, when do we start hearing about lawsuits taking them down? That's like the song said, let's take them down. Let's sue them right into the ground. How do we get, how do we get Pfizer and Eli Lilly and all of the other manufacturers, how do we get them to just flat out stop this?
I'm searching for an attorney right now. Unfortunately, so many of them are wrapped up now in the vaccine fiasco.
Oh, yeah.
Suing them for premeditated murder. And that's exactly what I was looking for with these premeditated murder, because that's what it is. They knew.
It's just so evil.
They knew long before. It is.
Yeah.
Well, these were ordered by the CIA to replace LSD in their MK Ultra program.
Yes, I remember. Those are in some of the documents that Joyce and I had way back when. One was was entitled "Human Drug Testing by the CIA," and another one was, of course, MK Ultra, the Department of Defense Brain Modification Program. And there was another one. I can't remember what the other one. These are all congressional hearings. These are all Senate reports, and it's all in there. Like the date.
Yeah, Joyce shared. I know.
Yeah.
Joyce shared one with me, and I read through all of the side effects they wanted the drug to cause. Right there in the middle was change in gender.
Oh,
and
yes.
That one jumped out at me because I was the only one talking about that back then.
Yeah, that was
was in 96.
Yeah, that's 30 years ago. And so, yeah, if you could expound on that. Now, a lot of folks are not aware of the effect that the SSRI drugs have on people's sexual orientation. And, of course, now that's in the front burner now. A lot of people are looking at the transsexual and the transgender issue and, boys and women's sports and all this stuff. Would you say that a lot of what we're seeing right now is a direct result of the prolific prescription rate of all these SSRI drugs?
The definite direct result.
So what's the solution? How do we get people to get off of some of this stuff? I mean, they've got to. People have been brainwashed to take these.
Start weaning off.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Well, I was going to...
It's a flat-out lie. I mean, I've got in my book all the research done on serotonin from 50-some... When did his start? It was like over 50 years before. Dr. Sulman had done a lot of research on serotonin, and he called it serotonin sensitivity syndrome or something like that.
Well,
and it was all about people whose serotonin level was too high. Well, guess what serotonin is? It's the key to human violence.
Wow, okay.
So it very gradually increases serotonin to the point that you become extremely violent. People talk about how they develop an anger issue.
Yeah.
I mean, road rage. You never heard of these before. Road rage, air rage, desk rage. We never heard of that before.
Well, you know, way back when Joyce and I were trying to help all the veterans back in the 90s, so many veterans, you know, they were reporting all these problems, and the doctors, you know, would say, oh, it's all in your head, take some Prozac, you know, get a kitten, you know, or whatever. And there's a doctor, and this is a clip I was going to play earlier. He was working with veterans, and as a matter of fact, let's see, let me see, hold and accept. Okay, I've got someone else that's calling in on hold here. I'm going to see if I can't merge the call at some point. But I want to play this clip. This is a Dr. Miller. And anyway, I'll just let you hear what he had to say here.
Why would a psychiatrist give a veteran that's suicidal medications that are known to increase suicide by 300%? Why would they do that? I'll tell you why. Psychiatrists have become nothing more than drug dealers. How do I know that? I used to be a drug dealer. When patients came to the emergency room depressed, I would give them the happy pill. I'd give them SSRIs. Why? Because I believed big pharma propaganda. I believed my specialty. I believed that the FDA would protect me against unsafe drugs. I thought I was doing good to my patients, and I was passing out SSRIs until I saw what happened to my son in 2007. At that point, I became very aware of how dangerous these drugs are. I'm asking you to join me to fight for our veterans that have given everything to give us our freedom. I'm asking you to join my son Mark in protest against the psychiatrists that are killing 22 patients per day. I'm asking President Trump and RFK Jr. to step in and do something to stop this travesty. This has got to stop.
Absolutely. And he was speaking on the steps of the nation's Capitol with a bunch of veterans behind him when he said that. Are you familiar with this doctor, Ann? Hello, did I lose you? Oh, dear. Let's see here. What happened to the phone? Okay. I think we somehow, let me see what we got here. Nope, I somehow lost Ann. I don't know what happened. Okay, let's see here. I think I lost my guest there. Is it? Oh, this is Carolyn. Hello, Carolyn.
Yeah, Dave, I'm just reporting on what I'm hearing on my end of the static.
Yeah.
So what happened is that the whole show began to have the static, so not just her. And so when you played that clip, it was staticky. But interestingly enough, when she dropped off,
okay, all right,
you became clear.
All right, well, she's calling back in. Thanks for calling in.
Okay,
I appreciate
bye.
that. Bye. Okay, I think we got you back. I don't know. I did get a pop-up here. It says my internet connection is having some problems. So are you there, Ann? Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, sorry about that. Just one of those technical issues. Yeah, one of my.
I know.
Yeah,
plenty of them.
One of my callers just called in and says, "Yeah, there's you're sounding bad also." So I don't know what's going on. I got several reports around the country that people's internet coverage is a little dicey these days. So I don't know what's going on. But I don't know. This I just finished playing a clip there. I don't know if you heard the rest of it. This Dr. Miller, he was standing on the Capitol steps with veterans behind him, and he's out there screaming about these SSRI drugs. Are you familiar with this particular individual?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. I'm just because I know that you're plugged into a whole bunch of different people who have been investigating this for quite some time. So, well, I tell you what. What's on your? I know that you've been on the warpath. What direction are you taking at this particular time to raise awareness? Aside from your book. Oh, and by the way, people, if you want to get Ann's book, go to her website, drugawareness.org. It's available online. Do you still have them in print?
No, Pharma took care of that.
Pharma took care of that? How so? Tell. What happened?
Well, I was the top guest on Coast to Coast AM back when it had like 20 million listeners.
Oh, was that with George Norrie or was that with Art Bell?
Never George Norrie.
Okay, that must have been...
It was with Ian Punnett.
Oh, okay. Okay, forgot about him.
Ian was incredible. Yeah. No, I was always on with Ian. Mm-hmm. And he had just told me that I was their top guest.
Very good.
I was bringing in more listeners than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And a month later, it changed ownership.
That's interesting.
And I was never on again.
That's it. Well, that's the same thing happened to Joyce and me with the Power Hour, because we were on AM/FM stations, and as soon as we got onto a major market station, we got on in Washington D.C., we got on in Chicago, and within a month or two, the radio station would get sold and change its format to either a sports talk or Latino music. And it happened.
Interesting.
Yeah, every time we got onto a 50,000-watt flamethrower in a major market, like I said, within a month or a couple of months, the radio station would get sold. Somebody would buy it out and change the format. So that's not the first time I've heard that happened.
And right after that, Amazon had been carrying my book for years.
Uh-huh.
And they suddenly started posting that the book was out of print.
Interesting.
I called them and I said, I'm the writer. I deliver the book to you, and it's not out of print.
Mm-hmm.
You've got it on your shelves. You've got this many. Why are you posting that? Take it down. They ignored me for 2 years. I called them over and over and over again, saying, you're killing people by not allowing them to have this information that they desperately need about what that drug might be doing to them.
Mm.
And they're not making it. They're committing suicide. Or they're killing their families and then committing suicide.
Yeah.
Like we see absolutely everywhere now.
Yeah, well, they did the same thing to former Attorney General Ramsey Clark, because he wrote a book called The Fire This Time, where he documented the international war crimes and the court proceedings that were going on all over the world that had brought up George Bush Sr., Dick Cheney, all of them. They were all brought up on charges, and there were international criminal, international criminal court proceedings all over the world. And Attorney General Ramsey Clark covered the whole thing. He released it in a book, and that book was out for maybe a month. And then all of a sudden, it was pulled. So, you're not the only one who's been, shall we say, deep-sixed.
I'll have to see if I can find that book.
Yeah, it's called The Fire This Time by Ramsey Clark. So, but so you're not the only one who's, like I said, once you put out a publication that challenges the narrative or threatens a huge multi-billion-dollar corporation like Pfizer.
Right.
No, they don't want that information out there.
Oh, no.
So.
No, not at all, because Pfizer even called me in on a deposition on a case that I had nothing to do with, other than I was trying to support the family after their loss of their 13-year-old son with just 1 week on Zoloft.
Wow.
he suddenly hung himself in his closet in the middle of the night like Robin Williams did on these drugs.
Oh, my. That's right. We lost Robin Williams because of this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And by the
I
way...
heard, I knew.
Yeah, by the way, there's a difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist, okay? Psychologists, well, they're the ones that you lie down on the couch and you talk to them and they try to work out, some sort of a therapy for you.
Not anymore.
Well, I wanted to get into the thing about the psychiatrist because it's the psychiatrist that prescribes the drugs. Have I got that correct?
Well, you have it correct in the past. But no, they're pushing big time for psychologists to prescribe.
I got an interesting clip here. This is from the year 2006, and there was a convention of psychiatrists, and there was a reporter outside that was asking a very basic question. He says, "How many patients have you cured?" Listen to the responses. Again, this is back in 2006. Listen to this one.
How many patients have you been able to cure so far?
I would say one.
How many people have I cured? Well, there are no real cures right now in psychiatry.
And he's just laughing.
Idea of any? You asked me about the issue about how many people I've cured.
Yeah, give them a drug.
I don't know that any of us are ever completely cured of anything.
I have not been able to cure many patients.
I have cured none of my patients.
There you go. They all say that I've cured none of my patients. So, no matter what you do. So, and again...
Well, why, when you're giving them a drug that causes depression and suicide, is that supposed to cure anybody?
No kidding.
But people have bought into the lie. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And they're telling them right in the package insert. Mm-hmm. This drug can cause this.
Mm-hmm.
And they take it anyway.
Well, people don't read the inserts.
So then they can't sue.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. I got a caller coming in. I have to let her go. Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I didn't want to disconnect. I know I've got a caller in there that she wants to talk to you, but I don't know how to merge the calls on this particular program, so I'm not going to mess with it. Anyway, I just want to give out your website again, drugawareness.org, drugawareness.org. Now, you said that your book is available online. Is it there at that website?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So people can
just go to the store on the website and you will find it there.
Okay, and I would highly suggest, and as a matter of fact, implore the listeners out there, if you know anyone who's on any of these drugs, they need to be aware of this information before something really horrible happens. And that was the whole point of having you join me here, because we're hearing about these school shootings left and right, and it's not just in the schools. Like I said, there's a report now that it was a church. Somebody went in there and started shooting the place up.
We've had several ones at church. And people need to know, there was a case that I worked in Wyoming with Jerry Spence for a while.
Oh, Jerry Spence, yeah.
Another attorney took over who understands these drugs very well. He's filed many, many cases.
Okay.
And he used my book to counter their own expert. So this is Pharma's expert on serotonin testifying, and he gets him to admit that what you should expect from taking one of these drugs is impulsive suicide or impulsive murder.
Wow, and that got entered into the record?
Oh, yeah.
Well, no wonder they don't want your book out there. Oh, my gosh.
Exactly.
Oh, my word.
The science is clear as can be.
Well,
that's what you should expect.
Well, yeah, and like I said, you were a lone voice crying in the wilderness, all those years ago. And now and many more doctors now are jumping on board. Like I said, Dr. Ardis, he's basically said 100% of the school shootings are directly related to SSRI drugs. And then the other doctor that I was just quoting from, let me see if I can't pull that back up here. No, I can't.
Miller.
But yeah, so
well, and that's true. In the last election, Matt Gaetz, opponent down in Florida, had a 13-year-old son who was on these drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And he was having horrible reactions to them. So he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, well, let's try this one. So he gave him a different one. And it was like 2 weeks later, he said, I don't feel any different. And I guess I'm just going to have to shoot up a school.
Oh, my word. Oh,
what do you know?
And it's just a matter of fact, casual way, says, well, hey, what do you want to do today? Oh, I think I'll go shoot up a school.
Exactly.
Oh, my gosh. That's what I'm saying, folks. This is one of those issues you might not think it's that important, but you'd be surprised. I mean, so many people are on these drugs. Mm-hmm.
Remember the impulsive. It pops into their head. They've got a compulsion. That's what ideation is. The compulsion to either kill yourself or someone else.
Wow. Okay, well, this is another reason why I wanted to have you back on, because there are so many shootings. We're hearing about them almost every day now. And like I said, more and more doctors are jumping on board and saying, hey, we need to look at these SSRI drugs, because, this is what's causing these people to lose it.
Ask your doctor what he's on before he prescribes it.
Oh, that's a good point. Hey, doc, are you on any drugs? Yeah, I'm on Prozac. Oh, dear.
No.
Oh, gosh. Okay, let's find another doctor. All
right, there was one that was going on mission trips around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he came home and had his reaction. Cut off his genitalia.
Oh, my word.
Ran to the neighbor's swimming pool, trying to get in under the cover over the pool.
Uh-huh.
And the emergency people showed up and were trying to get him out so they could stop the bleeding. He bled out before they could get him.
Oh, my gosh.
But he was on the drugs.
Unbelievable.
And here he is going around the world on mission trips.
Unreal. Well, we're just about out of time here. And once again, I want to give out your websites, drugawareness.org, drugawareness.org. And there are all kinds of stories about people's reactions to these SSRI drugs. And that website is ssristories.net. And your book is Prozac from
Prozac.
Panacea or Pandora?
Panacea or Pandora.
Right.
Our serotonin nightmare.
Unbelievable. Well, Ann, thank you so much for your work. You've been at this for a long time, and hopefully people are finally starting to stand up and take notice to your incredible work for so many years. I thank you for everything that you've done, especially for the veterans out there. So,
thanks, Steve.
All right, Ann, thank you so much for joining me today. All right, well, we're just about flat out of time, folks. Again, my guest has been Ann Blake Tracy, author of the book Prozac, Panacea or Pandora. And you can't get it. Amazon doesn't want you to have it anymore, so it's no longer in print, but you can get access to the book online by going to drugawareness.org. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for today's broadcast. I tell you, that's something that we really do need to pay attention. You want to know why that the world seems so crazy these days? Well, it could have something to do with the fact that people are on some weird drugs. And it's not just the SSRIs as far as I'm concerned. It's so many more. That said, folks, we're flat out of time. I'll be back again tomorrow. I thank you, as always, for your listenership. I invite you to do business with the WTF Reports. Visit our sponsors page. Get yourself a Wave Watch or get more tank. That said, we're flat out of time. I'll be back again tomorrow. So every single one of you, God bless, be safe, and be free. We'll see you tomorrow.
You won't be trusted anymore.